Hey, everybody, do me a favor. Welcome to a Cup of Ray on a Friday night down here at the world-famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill down here on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge District. Oh, I spelled that one. I'll get it later. Welcome to a Friday night Cup of Ray. I'm just going to start it off. Got James Cannida in here, my guy. We're talking ball. We're talking everything, but more importantly, we're talking about what comments you guys and girls have tonight. It's a Friday night spring break Cup of Ray from down here at the world-famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill. I'll see you on the other side. All right, first off, thank you everybody for last night. All of your thoughts, all your well wishes. Everybody was doing a brother check and checking up on me when we heard that the Buccaneers, of course, Jason Light indeed does let Ryan Suckup go. Mr. Irrelevant from the 2009 draft. Mr. Everything for the Buccaneers in Super Bowl 55 in 2020. And you know my thing for kickers. Remind me someday down the road. Remind me again to tell you about my affinity. It goes back to Neil O'Donoghue, the doc he had out in Indian Rocks Beach, being a 12, 13-year-old growing up there, and had a buddy, Steve Alfred, lived right on a canal right across from Neil O'Donoghue's wife. I'll go into that story another time. But then it goes back to a middle school coach. My first day at Morgan Fitzgerald there in Pinellas Park. Way too long time ago, and a Garo Upremian poster. Remind me to tell you about it sometime. It's a good story, maybe. But I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it because I talk about Ryan Suckup and the fact that he was let go yesterday. It wraps me back around to Super Bowl 37. And, of course, Martin Gramatica, who I've never been shy about saying is the best Buccaneer kicker in team history. He's locking it down. And what a coincidence that it's time for my usual Friday night therapy session with my guy, former Buccaneer, former Indianapolis Colt, number 98 in your program, but number 1 in your heart, and host of the Big Game Sports Buzz, and a good friend of mine, Mr. James Cannida. I'm going to bring James in here right now, and we'll go ahead and start this show right off here pretty good. James, how are you tonight?
Ray, what's happening, man? I'm good.
Oh, God. Okay. So I did the whole thing. Tell me, James, Martin Gramatica, one of his most famous pictures was when he's going back. I want to say it was against the Giants, but he's getting held back and he's going after someone. He was a fiery guy. To this day, he still is. What did it mean having a kicker like Martin Gramatica on those Buccaneers teams that you played on?
It's funny because knowing Martin and seeing him when he was at K-State, you was like, this kicker is like, I've never seen a kicker with that much energy in my life. And when he got drafted, and that's who, our special teams coach, Joe Marciano, that's who Joe wanted. He was like, we need a kicker. We got to get a kicker. So we got the guy that he wanted. And all the energy that he exuberated on television, he brought it with him to the locker room. And, still to this day, I give Martin and Mark Royals a hard time or like to make jokes because we're like, you guys knew when to cut it off and get to the golf course during training camp while we were putting the real work in. But needless to say, those guys came to work and did their jobs every day. And Martin was that guy to where every kick mattered. Every time he was on the field, it mattered to him. It wasn't just like.
It was personal with Martin.
Yeah,
I love that about Martin.
He worked to challenge himself every single time he was on the field. And you had to love that about him because, kickers get a different vibe. You know what I mean? It's just like when things are good, they're good. And if they miss one, you give them hell for it. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's not the same hell that you might catch for missing a tackle. If they miss one PAT or one field goal, everyone's like, the kicker sucks, fire the kicker. So the kickers are in a whole lot different kind of pressure.
Pressure.
And I tell anybody,
Pressure.
if you think
But
it's easy to put that
no.
ball through the uprights, go out there and kick one yourself. It's
And
a
I'm
lot harder than it looks.
And I'm not just putting anybody down comparing offenses, but those Tony Dungy teams that you played on and that Martine kicked for, there was a it meant even more. It wasn't just Ryan Suckup locking down extra points in those field goals in that championship season and again in 2021 and 22, but it meant that you had to have Kicker Martine so many games where he came in, and sometimes he was the only scorer. The reason why he's the number one scoring leader in Buccaneer history at this point still, because he went in there, scored some points. Kickers don't get a lot of credit. I got a love for them, but having played with Martine, I just love that you could tell me a story about him. That's awesome, brother.
Yeah. And Martine was funny because he's on the sideline. And every position kind of has their own little thing, what they would do as far as like a fist bump, hit somebody on the head, a handshake, whatever it is. And Martine was always keen to make eye contact with you so he can give you a quick, "What's up? Let's go." But he wanted you to know that he was actually engaged in it, not just there practicing on the net the whole time, but walking around the side.
No, he was a baller. He was a dog.
Yeah, he was all his teammates knew that he was ready to roll.
And I want to go ahead and share with everybody last night, of course, after the Ryan Suckup news broke late in the day, I talked to Peter Blake last night, and I'm like, Peter and I were talking, and I'm like, he's like, I'm going to get Martine on real quick. And here's Martine, father, coach, media guy, brilliant, still just great guy to this day. He's like, I'll jump in right now because he couldn't. I was going to do Cup of Ray later. He said, I'll go in right now in the sports web. And then I messaged you, brother, and I said, hey, got Martine coming on. Would you like to get in there? And of course, without a hesitation, you're like, just let me know when. And of course, Martine didn't get in there, so we kept it with just Peter Blake, Harry, and myself. But I teased it with you today. Let's go ahead and start this conversation off because we talk everything. I love getting your insight. Here's the thing I want to go ahead and share with everybody. Don't forget, Big Game Sports Buzz. Brother, I didn't realize, James, that every time I hashtag you in one of my silly posts, it sends you a huge message in your Facebook Messenger. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, man, it's all good. It's totally fine to where, it's gotten to the point now, Ray, where the page is not just like a personal page. It's like a business page.
Yes.
I got followers from the reels and the short stories and everything else, and it's crazy because it's not even the Big Game Sports Buzz page. It's the James Cannida page too,
but
and
it's
nuts. So it's all good.
Brother. Yes. Well, and here's the thing: I don't get any of those in Messenger. So, number one, I'm sorry to you for all the hits, but I'm getting none. I'm like, oh, that's not good. I should at least somebody. So tonight, I challenge anyone out there watching Cup of Ray here, hashtag me in a Facebook post so I can get. Oh God, wait till wouldn't it be great if my Messenger was inundated and it actually trended? I sold it today because I want your angle as a baller, coming out of Nevada, coming to the Bucs in '98, playing the way you did, being at the college level, playing at the level you played at. I'm of course talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. I stink at introducing things, but I wanted to know as a ball player, as a coach, of being a successful coach that you are. And we've talked about that here on Cup of Ray, and then last as a parent, Marvin Harrison Jr. Some say he's as athletic as his Hall of Fame father, of course, Marvin Harrison, receiver for the Colts. You played with that cat. How magnificent was Marvin Harrison, the way he just practiced his craft and the way he was a receiver and how much of a baller he was?
Marvin was, and I say this not to take, slight any other receiver, any other teammate I had, but Marvin was the ultimate professional in the sense to where he was all about business when he came to work. He wasn't talking about anything else. He was there in the facility. He was working out. He was running his routes. He was, he and Peyton had a relationship that was unreal. The extra time they spent together on the field, him mentoring a young Reggie Wayne at the time.
Oh, yes.
To kind of teach him the way the game was to be played in the NFL. But every day he was there to work on his craft and get better at it. And I still say, a lot of people ask me who's the best receiver I played with. That's the name that comes up because of how he worked, but also how he avoided the big hit. Marvin was he's not a big guy at all. He's not, the big 6'4", 200+ pound wide receiver. He's the shorter, shiftier, quick, catch the ball, never took a real big hit. And to see what his son is doing is amazing because, a lot of times when you see a Hall of Fame caliber guy, it's hard for their kids to imitate that or live up to the same standard.
That shadow. Yeah, that shadow.
If
But
if his
yes.
son
Oh,
continues to play the way he does, and if he can stay healthy,
yes.
I think the sky could be the limit for him because he to me, Ohio State probably wins that game against. I
Oh,
mean,
if he doesn't go out with a concussion in the second half, right?
yeah, that
I
you
mean,
know that changed the entire outcome of the game because
brother.
there was really no answer for him to stop him
Yes.
in that
And
game.
the matchup against him, and I think it was is Casey or whatever, the cornerback for the Georgia Bulldogs. That was
Mhm.
going into the game. Of course, Marvin Harrison Jr. was the story, and of course, you mentioned he does happen to be 6'5" and 205 pounds. And Njigba was injured earlier in the season. Now, Njigba, actually, the other wide receiver for the starter for the Ohio State Buckeyes, he's predicted to go number 1 overall. And I'll be honest, if Marvin Harrison Jr. had played all season, you'd have another Alabama wide receiver. You'd almost have like a CD Lamb, and I mean you'd have a run, 2 wide receivers like
Like
that.
Gary Judy and
Yeah, Jerry
Waddle
Judy.
kind of deal.
Yes,
Yeah,
Waddle. Yes,
it's
yes. Go ahead.
it's one of those things. But then I think he hadn't been out long enough. I think he has to do one more year before he can declare eligible for
Well,
the draft.
okay. So I'm
Right?
glad that was a great segue. So now, as a former player and a
Mhm.
professional football player, he's playing at Ohio State. He plays in a Peach Bowl. He has 105 receptions, 105 receiving yards on 5 receptions, 2 touchdowns first half, concussion in the second half. I would pose that playing for the Ohio Buckeyes in the college football playoffs is professional football. James, I'm asking you real quick question. Do you have a problem thinking any of the teams that played in the top 4 games would beat any team in the XFL or at USFL right now, hands down?
Ooh, ooh.
That's a great question, right? And I'm not
That's a
putting anybody down. I'm not putting
that,
anybody down, but
that's a tough question because the talent is scarce. Not to say scarce, but it's spread out through those other leagues, right? They have
yes.
some talented guys. There's going to be some guys on those rosters that are going to get invited to a training camp, and they're going
Oh,
to make a
yeah.
team. They'll make a team.
There's a
But
kicker. There's a kicker in Orlando by the name of Borgalis who probably will be in camp with the Buccaneers, brother.
that's all they have in Orlando. The Guardians are awful.
That is so true.
The Guardians
You look for Borgalis.
are awful.
Is it who's the quarterback? Drew Lock or Pack? I can't even.
Paxton Lynch.
Paxton Lynch, and I'm like, well, it's Paxton Lynch, and then the offensive line is Swiss cheese. There's some wide, but here's the thing. Now I wasn't asking that question to put it down, but I'll wrap it back to Marvin Harrison Jr. He's not 3 years removed out of high school. That's the rule.
Right.
As a football player in an NIL transfer portal world where these kids are professionals at this level, especially at these big institutions, as a player, should that 3-year rule still apply?
Yeah, and it's just because of the physical nature of the NFL and football itself. Basketball there's even a difference in the size of men on the basketball court, and they're bigger and faster.
Yes.
But you can get away with it a little bit more in basketball if your skill set's at a certain point. You still need to mature and grow. I mean, you think about a kid coming out of high school at the age of 17, 18. He does 2 years in college, and he goes to the NFL at 19 or 20. He still hadn't really hit that adult growth spurt yet before that body matures even a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a necessary evil. Like everyone's like, they should get paid the money. The window of opportunity is short and smaller, but it's a grown man game. You have to be ready to play it, and I think that 3 years removed is a necessary evil.
Brother, let me tell you why. I think you've already answered my other 3 questions, but my next, of course, thing was going to ask as a coach, and I was going to finish it with as a parent of a very talented athlete, but as a coach yourself, you had all the platforms covered. Marvin Harrison Jr., the outlier, being that he's more athletic, they say, than his Hall of Fame father, but he's still a kid, and I think that as much as we have to hurry these kids up on these programs to play at this level and ball out and do what they do, you got to let them be kids. So that's one of those rules that's probably untouchable, isn't it?
I believe so. I don't think you need to change it.
I hope so.
Should you change it?
Yes.
I always say this, and people think I'm crazy. What is supposed to be will be. If it's meant to be, it will. And the thing is, he's going to have his day to shine in the NFL. Whether it be, a year later than what people think it should be, it doesn't matter. It's going to happen when it's supposed to happen. If it's, and if it's supposed to happen at all.
Boom. Mic dropped. Okay, so let's go ahead and transition real quick to all this Buccaneer news. I don't even think I've talked to you since the initial period starts and Leonard Fournette gets cut. They start making those transitionals, those 21 or 23 free agents. Any surprises that you've seen so far with these Buccaneers and some of these free agent moves yet, or has it pretty much been, oh, I can see that, oh, okay, or has there been a little diamond in the rough or a surprise for you, James?
With most of the things that have been, not leaked but reported on have happened. But I'm gonna butcher. I forgot the name already, Ray, and it's like I had a piece written up. But the D lineman that they picked up from the Rams, I think that was a good.
Gaines.
Yeah, I think Gaines is a
Yes.
good pickup. His production in the last 2 years to get him to that 10.5 sack total
Brother.
is very necessary. In the middle of that defensive line. So now we have
Yes.
someone that can come in. He can play. He can put a little bit of pressure on the quarterback. He can help solidify run game. Vita doesn't have to do it all the time by himself.
Yes.
Keem Hicks gone. You know what I mean? So it's like it's necessary,
Yes.
and he has the experience. So to where Logan Hall can still be interchangeable, whether it be inside, outside, or
Sack Avenue.
wherever they need to put him.
Yes.
And
Yes.
losing Roaches to the Giants,
That hurts.
that
That's a bit. That was the
he
biggie one, right?
right. So he leaves, and he is a solid contributor, in the middle to help us out. And now
Yes.
you have someone else that can come in, not a real big deal, a year's time, able to make some plays, and
Yes.
you benefit from having him around. And he's played with JTS and Vita Vea in college, so they probably got some kind of weird chemistry thing going on as well.
Brother, so let's think. I'm glad you said that. I'm going to tell you right now. This is the reason why, if you're not following James Cannida, not former Buccaneer, former Colt, but host of the Big Game Sports Buzz and the Chop Shop. We'll talk about Jay Stoggs in a minute. But the knowledge, I knew Vita Vea, and I was going to ask you about the Vita Vea and the Gaines reliant, but you put in Joe Tryon Shayanka. You got those three Washington Huskies now on this Buccaneers defensive line, and Barry the Lee, Shaq Barrett's your other outside linebacker. Oh, there might be a narrative or two in there, no, my friend?
Yeah, there's definitely going to be someone playing on that. Everyone's going to speak on those guys having a pass together at the University of Washington. But I think it speaks a lot to how they played in school, how they were coached, and who got them ready to get to the NFL or on top of the talent. And there's something there. Like I said, I'm a big believer in JTS. I think that he's going to come on.
Yes.
Where he was drafted, what he's asked to do, it's not super easy. But
Yes.
I think this is going to have to be the year that he breaks out and makes that move.
I don't think so. We got the one thing. My son fell in love with Joe Tryon Shayanka at the Dolphins preseason game because we got right on the wall, and my daughter and my son. But my next I turn around, my son is handing Joe Tryon his camera, and Joe's taking a picture. Man child of a kid. Love his size, love his length outside. Again, we've talked about that JP, not trying to put any baggage on that kid, but that JPP length or that Simeon Rice length. And you know Simeon Rice length, but you also put him now with people don't realize now inside Sack Avenue there on his defensive line. Logan Hall, he's a beast. Am I not right?
And man, that's a big guy. He moves well, good hands, can play inside or out. And I think just the learning curve of the NFL. So, I mean, you saw glimpses of Logan Hall of what he's going to be able to do. And I think that he's going to have that year this year where it's like everyone's like, whoa, I knew we had something when we got him in the second round, but I didn't know that's what we had. I believe that's the kind of player he can show to be this season.
Is it a what do you call it? Something of riches? Is it a waste of riches that Buccaneers' biggest fan, as Jason Light continues to build another team like he had in place, ready for door number 2 and Tom Brady 3 years ago, but puts these pieces in place. And the biggest narrative here, it only lasted for a little while, but is the Buccaneers and their kicking woes, and now Ryan Succop's gone. I want to say it's a treasure, but let me wind it back to something else, because you and I can wax on the Bucs all night. We got some more stuff to talk about. Oh, Levante David, bury that lead. That had to happen. We've talked about this before. You like that move, right? 100%.
I don't just like it. I love it. I think it was necessary. I caught like I said, I caught a little bit of hell on some of my posts, Ray, about what the Buccaneers should do. And someone's like, you didn't even address the linebacker position, and Levante David's probably gone. I'm like, he's not leaving. I just really felt that something was going to get done where he would be under contract again. And, in my eyes, I sure hope that he could finish his career as a Buccaneer. But at the same time, I think he has more than just one left. You know what I mean?
But he does, which you want to see this team. I mean, they're going to continue. This was a cap year, right? This was a year that Jason Light really had to do those shells, which, by the way, How do the Saints continue to move those shells? Mickey Loomis every year. And let me ask you something else, James. We're watching what those Falcons are doing. They bring in Jonnu Smith, the tight end. Now he's with Kyle Pitts, and that's where Arthur Smith makes his bread as your tight ends coach and offensive coordinator with Tennessee. You got the Saints. Um, I don't know. I'm thinking Derek Carr. He's the quarterback stability, but Dennis Allen in that defense, and of course now the Panthers with the number 1 overall in that defense. These teams in the South are getting pretty good. Which team has made the most moves so far to you this offseason? And now you got the Bucs are looking over their shoulder like, okay, we've been here. We want to stay here, but we know you're right behind us.
Believe it or not, I think Derek Carr in New Orleans doesn't. I mean, look at his career stats in Oakland/Vegas, and you already had a guy in Jameis Winston on the roster.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Derek Carr doesn't scare me. Atlanta Falcons trying to bolster up that defense again. Just the safety they got from Cincinnati. The other moves they got with Jonnu, the tight end.
Yes.
Atlanta silently trying to do things to build on that young core that they had.
And Drake London?
Yeah.
And
we don't know if Kyle Pitts how he's going to come back. You know what I mean? And Grady Jarrett is one of the best defensive linemen in the league that does not get a lot of credit at all.
No, he should, because he is a beast, and he single-handedly makes that entire Atlanta Falcons defense scary. And that's like when they bring in all these coordinators from the Saints. They're bringing in the Saints secondary coach and making him DC, and they're bringing in that Dennis Allen-style defense. James, we know, having played yourself, teams are made to build their own divisional opponents first because you want to win that division. Then you have that good chance of getting to that second series of season, either as the winner of your division or if you're in a competition for it as a wild card team. Mm-hmm. But the Saints are doing it. But the Panthers get the number 1 overall pick and Frank Reich and what they're doing there. They had to give up DJ Moore. I'm like, they gave up their best receiver. They don't have Christian McCaffrey anymore. Right. That doesn't scare me, but it's like their defense can also do some stuff.
Their defense is great, and we talked about it last year. They were young. They played well. I mean, you look at the games with the Buccaneers, the one we lost in Carolina, the win we get in Tampa was, still not a super high-scoring kind. We exposed the cornerback position a little bit, which they had injuries at.
Yes.
But to me, they still have to figure out who's going to quarterback that team. And until they do that, they're going to be behind on the offensive side of the ball, I believe, at least for another season. Their defense will keep them in games and keep them competitive. But I think that the quarterback position will be the reason that the Panthers don't win the South.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because, they got Andy Dalton. Now, Jay Stoggs, Andy Dalton played for the Cowboys 100 years ago, but they got him in there. He's supposed to be the stability, but 100%, even if they draft, is it CJ Stroud or is Bryce Young? Even with the quarterback rules, that kid is the number 1 overall most talented quarterback right out of the gates. But I think CJ Stroud is so close. But then the Panthers, people want to say, hey, Richardson kind of looks just like, and he does. And Cam Newton even played in Florida for a cup of coffee before he went on to Auburn. Right. So it's like, which quarterback do you think these? We saw them making good in Josh McCown and them in the pro day, and then they go have dinner with you. Which quarterback do you think these Panthers are looking to take number 1 overall, or could they surprise someone and trade to the second or third, just take best of the 3, and Frank Reich says, we'll do this?
Well, I think they made that move and getting rid of DJ Moore because they see their future at number 1. Who it is, I'm not sure. To me, I don't think you move up to get Anthony Richardson with the number 1 pick. I think they could have stayed where they were to maybe get him. I don't think he's going to. I don't think he's going to be ready to play as a first-year starter, and I think they need someone that's going to be able to come in right now.
Yes,
and they'll say they don't because they have Andy Dalton, but as soon as the pressure comes on and Andy Dalton doesn't perform the way they want him to, that young quarterback's going to get thrown into the fire. It's going to happen. C.J. Stroud's pro day. Now, I haven't watched Bryce Young's yet online. I heard it was good, too. But C.J. Stroud, the way he was throwing the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr., like we were speaking of earlier, he looked good to me. And he looked a lot better because I question sometimes watching C.J. Stroud playing games, he just seemed like he didn't have like that fire, that dog to dominate and kill. But he seems to show a little different side in the workout that maybe he does have a little bit more of that oomph that he's going to try to bring to the field of the
You know who else
NFL.
didn't have that fire though? Trevor Lawrence. By the end, people were like, "Well, he could walk away from it, take it or leave it." And even Joe Burrow, although Joe Burrow, he had it because he was an assassin at LSU. But
Yeah,
yeah, C.J. Stroud almost looked at times like he was a little not bored. Has all the tools, has all the
right.
game, but he was kind of. So you're like, how much does this mean to him? He seems like he wants the ball, but I mean, you're talking the number one over. But you even said Richardson could fall, and I'm just trying. I'm starting a conspiracy theory here. If Richardson is your guy, which you could actually maybe even get Richardson and bring Cam back, but that would be a zoo there in Carolina. But maybe you wait till draft day, see who's most desperate for C.J. Stroud, or and wants to move up to that number one overall pick. You trade back, still get Richardson, but get that draft capital. Teams might be desperate to make a deal with the leader in the front of the line on draft day or before.
Right.
But I think that these days in Tepper, the owner there in Carolina, it's all about narrative. He's got to look like he's going for the kill. They got to look like they know who their guy is. I think it's C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, I feel the same way, Ray. They made that move. They can't move again. If they move again, it's going
Yeah.
to be a riot in Carolina, a revolution of some sorts. If they move back out of that number one pick again to even try to get more capital,
Oh,
I think it's C.J. Stroud as well.
again, joining me, James Cannida, number 98 in your program, number one in your heart, host of the Big Game Sports Buzz, former Buccaneer, former Colt. I got to do, what else am I getting? Total dog. Baker Mayfield. Okay, the Buccaneers bring in Baker. He's got that. It's $4 million or $8 million, or it's got the incentive clauses. I still got people here in the Bay Area. And James, I'm not saying you got the inside knowledge on this. We know what we hear. But I got a local sports radio guy, may do the 3 to 6 on WDAE. I may have said disparaging things about this guy in the past. I love him, but I'm not going to name him here. And he interviews this guy, some NFL analyst from ESPN today, and he says the Bucs signed Baker Mayfield. They finally got a quarterback. And I'm not just trying to sell you on that romantic narrative, people, but James, doesn't Kyle Trask have every bit of a chance to win this job from Baker Mayfield?
I think he should. I think he should honestly
Yes.
have a chance to come in and earn this job. He was a
Yes.
second round draft pick for a reason.
Yes.
Now, a lot of people weren't happy with Baker Mayfield being signed. I said this, right? I even wrote about it last year when we thought Brady was gone, that
Yes.
the Buccaneers should probably pursue him from Cleveland. That
Yes.
in the right situation, I believe that Baker Mayfield can be a sustainable quarterback and make things happen.
Yes.
I want him to do well, but I believe Kyle Trask deserves a chance, and I believe he's going to get a chance in this offense. But if you look at how Canales and them had success in Seattle with Geno Smith,
Boom. You're
it's,
going
it's,
preach here.
it's something about what Baker Mayfield is capable of doing that fits this new offensive coordinator style. And you need to have someone
Wow.
like that in as well to see if this is the piece you need. It's not a bad thing. You want competition.
Yeah.
No
Well,
one
yeah.
should walk into a job thinking this is mine and it deserves to be mine only. He deserves a shot, but the best quarterback has to be able to win this thing.
You know what, brother? Not until you just said that, I hadn't even thought about it. And I'm not saying Canales goes back, although he does go back to Russell Wilson. And I'm not saying Baker Mayfield is Russell Wilson. I hope Russell Wilson gets fixed with Sean Payton this offseason. Sean in New Orleans had Drew Brees. I don't know if Russell Wilson can be Drew Brees. I hope he can commit. I hope he can get into the game. I know he's got the talent. But man, you talk about a Baker Mayfield, because I was always thinking, well, if Canales is going for a pocket passer, 6'5", 220, 230, that's Kyle Trask. He's a third year in the league. I think he's gonna have good. But talk about a Baker Mayfield and the comparisons with Canales coming from that Seattle Seahawks system, and I'm like, it sounds like they covered some bases with this hire. They're still going to bring a third quarterback in here, but I love it.
Right. Yeah, I think they did the right thing. Like I said, you have to prepare. And Ray, this has to be the toughest job in the NFL. You're the quarterback that's going to replace Tom Brady. I mean,
Yes.
it's going to be hard for no matter who you bring in. But if you look at Baker Mayfield's stats, you look at what he did in LA when he had to fill in for Stafford, it wasn't bad. He played his role, he did his job, and I think he knows that the window of opportunity is closing in, that he has to take advantage of the opportunity he gets. Can't believe he's
Yes.
going to do that.
Leonard Fournette leaves the team. The Bucs bring in Chase Edmonds. You've seen Chase Edmonds, man. This guy, he could be a beast. I still think Rachaad White gets that starting nod, though. But Edmonds can be complementing to this backfield. I still think Keyshawn Vaughn's here in 2023, James. It's going to be a
Right.
battle. You carry 3 running backs anyway, and it's not like you're going to have a huge contract from either Keyshawn, who's still on that first out of Vanderbilt, or Chase Edmonds, who you're not breaking the bank for that cat. Was Chase Edmonds
Right.
a good pickup for this Buccaneers, this running back?
It was. You have someone that you know what you get. He has
Yes.
experience. He can carry the ball. It's not killing you cap wise. And then this style of offense, they're going to run the ball. There's going to be play action, and you have 3 people that are very serviceable. It helps you. You know what I mean? So it's a good pickup. I like the pickup. I believe you have a person that can come in. He seems to be in good shape. He's played well, solid career, and you have to know what to expect. And we haven't drafted yet, but at the same time,
Yes.
there's something that can be found. The running back position, Ray, is so devalued now that
Oh,
I
yes.
honestly believe that you can still get another guy in a 3rd or 4th round that can help. That's going to get passed up on because
Yes.
running back position just isn't valued anymore.
You're Jay Stoggs, our guy. He's such a Cowboys fan. Ezekiel Elliott had to kill him a little bit, but Pollard's the right move. But man, Pollard's a beast. I guess the Cowboys, Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones, and by association, Mike McCarthy, because maybe at some point he does become the de facto coach. They got their guy in Pollard. Zeke being out there, that must be killing Jay Stoggs a little.
I think so a little bit, but even Jay Stoggs knows that Zeke Zeke's contract didn't make sense anymore.
No.
And I had a debate with someone, Ray, that I would take um I would take Zeke in Tampa, but it would have to be
Oh.
on the veteran minimum.
Yeah, I said to somebody, I said, Zeke's a beast. But if you can say, hey, Dallas beat us in the wild card, they embarrassed us, and they look pretty good. Come here, be on an NFC team they can get. But I don't think that can be worth enough money for Zeke to come here on as friendly of the contract that the Bucs would need him.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Like I said, I would take it. I still think that Zeke is serviceable. I think
Yes.
that he can do what you need him to do between the tackles. He doesn't have that burst that he used to have. You know, you look at that early on Ezekiel Elliott when he got to the open field.
Oh,
he
yes.
he was a bit of a trailblazer. He doesn't blaze anymore, but I think that he can get, those good tough 4 to 5 yards between the tackles if need be, just to help eat up clock and not put too much pressure on your quarterback. But
Yes.
that's just wishful thinking. Do I really see that happening? No, I don't. I think that also a cheaper option, like I just said, is going to be through the draft, and
Yes.
you can find someone to suffice to go along and complement those other pieces that we have.
How important was Jamel Dean getting him back here? And you make that investment, Jason Light does. How important was it for that stability? And you look at the best secondary with Antoine Winfield, Jamel Dean. Oh my God! And who do we have on the other corner?
Carlton Davis is still under
Carlton
contract, right?
Davis. I'm still saying you still got now going into the time that this your secondary's had with the pressure the Bucs are going to apply up front in this Todd Bowles defense, and then Levante back. I mean, I want to say, am I getting ahead of myself, James Cannida, saying that this is a near championship style defense the Bucs could be capable of having in 2023?
I think it all depends on our edge rushers and how Shaq Barrett comes back.
Yes.
It's all going to come down to what type of pressure, because our secondary was very good when we were able to get pressure from our line. And Misador just had a good point in the comments that we still need a strong safety. And I think that could be a position of need at 19.
Yes.
I said my first mock draft, some people say I'm crazy. I said, go Brian Branch, strong safety out of Alabama.
Oh, it's so funny. I told you that nobody ever hashtags me, or I get a lot of watches on the show post facto because I forgot about those comments, James. You mind if we do a couple of them? I love it.
That's fine.
Brother, I'm so sorry. And if you got to go, believe me, again, thank Mrs. Cannida for sharing with me tonight. But I know you're a busy cat. Locking it down.
Yeah.
Let's see. First comment. Ed Kirby says, Ray. I'm on Peter Blake's Facebook page and locking it down to the Sports Lab. So sometimes I get that. Yes. Hey, Edward. Edward Kirby, being afraid to cut a player 1 year too early is loser's mentality. I love suck up though. I mean, that's the sentiment, isn't it, James? That I mean, the guy's a lockdown kicker. When he comes, Mr. Irrelevant, the only Mr. Irrelevant to ever play in, and start in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I mean, the plus 50 thing, and that's a great point by Elwood. I mean, you hate to see him go. But it's a business, and at the end of the day, when you have to make a move that's going to benefit you later on long term, you free up some space.
Yes.
And I'm not. I mean, like I said, Martine was a diamond in the rough to be where he was when he was drafted. Well, I think it was
Oh,
third round,
out of Kansas
99.
State.
Out of Kansas
Yes.
State. You hope. I mean, and you see, we missed on the kicker in an earlier pick with a guy out of Florida State before. You know what I mean? It's just it's
Don't.
rough.
He
No,
whose
I
name
know.
we don't say. I'm kidding.
Right? Yeah. A lot of people still to this day are scarred by that.
Yes.
But you have to take a chance and believe that there's someone out there that between that, that 35 to 45-yard distance going to give you that. And if he can be around 50% from that 50
Yes.
plus range, and he's going to get you some wins.
Yes. Well, I forgot where. Oh, going back to the comments. Yeah, and I think the fact of the matter is that you got to have. That's the reason why G.O.A.T couldn't make it from inside, couldn't make extra points to kick it from 75 yards. I think you find a happy medium. I think this team and where they're at transitioning and some of the question marks in an NFC South that's really up for grabs and quite competitive. You got to find your kicker of tomorrow. And it may be one of your kickers of the past, somebody out there, but you get them in here, but you got to make those long field goals, especially with a defense that may be struggling or an offense, as we're learning this Cannida system. There may be a lot of fourth downs from the 47-yard line, and you're thinking, okay, let's run it out there and let's try a 60-yarder as the clock expires. Those points could be important.
Right. Yeah, you definitely got to have them. You don't want to leave them on the field.
Yes.
I'm from the Tony Dungy school, right? I believe in taking all those points.
That's why I love that it ties. It's not just Super Bowl 37, 55, Martin Gramatic and Ryan Suckup. I go back to Donald Igwe was one of my favorite kickers of all time. We'll go there another night. We got comments. I'll get to them. Tim Haynes says, what's up? What's up, Tim? Stephen L. Campione 6 says, Ray, I normally tune into Peter. This is good as well. Go Bucs, Steve. Thank you. Hit the share button. Yeah, but follow Big Game Sports, because if you think this stuff is good, the guy I'm talking to right now, Mr. James Cannida, that's good stuff, brother. And, here's the thing gets me, James. All you got to do is like and follow. I mean, you don't have to. We're not asking for any kind of. It's not. We don't have to even hold hands. We don't have to even act like we know each other. We can just get together at the end of the evening and have a good time. But we're there. Like and share Big Game Sports Buzz and the Chop Shop and James Cannida. It's out there, and that's what it is. It's all about us just talking ball, isn't it?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just us talking sports, and all I am is a guy with an opinion. The only difference between me and a lot of other people with an opinion is I was in the professional locker room and on the field.
You got a great opinion too, by the way. Yes.
Other than that, I like interacting with people. I like interacting with fans of me from playing football and fans from me of doing social media and podcasts. Now, it's fun because we all have a different opinion on things, right? So no matter what, you might look at the glass and it's half full. I look at it, it's half empty. But at the end of the day, the water's still at the middle line in that same glass. You know what I mean?
Man.
So it doesn't really change it that much at all. And that's kind of how it is when we talk about these moves that the Buccaneers make.
Yes.
Why one move is smarter than the other move. But yet, the move was a necessary move. And at the end of the day, a lot of times we both can agree on that move being necessary.
Yes.
How you get to that move. Maybe you did it 2 steps one way, and I would have did it 2 steps the other way.
Yeah, well, it does roll back a little bit to in Jason we trust, right? Jason Light we trust, because this guy can build a club. We've seen it, and we'll see it again, and it's a competitive market. Talking about building a club, Nunez Roches to the Giants. I mean, you're going to lose some people. That cat has definitely earned a chance to go somewhere else, spread those wings a little bit, but you'd like to have that dog on his D-line. And also, getting back a Patrick Anthony Nelson, and a Patrick O'Connor keeps consistency. But Nunez Roches, he's going to ball out there in New York and add to that Brian Daboll defense, isn't he?
Yeah, he had a motor like no other. He gets after it very well. But like you said, it's the age of free agency in the market, and at the end of the day, everything is short lived. And when it comes to your span of time in the NFL, that window of opportunity is small. And at the end of the day, what I still try to explain to a lot of people is I love the Buccaneers to death. Like I said, I love it because it was the team that made my NFL dreams come true. But at the end of
Yes.
the day, I made a business decision to go to Indianapolis, and it cost me, a Super Bowl. But those are the decisions you make because you think longevity for your family and other things. You
Yes.
never, I fault no person for making the moves they make because when you're young, what makes sense to you, it doesn't have to
Yes.
make sense to anyone else.
But I'm thinking about this today. What I loved about it, the only way I was able to when we lost you in 2002, the only way as a fan, but as a as a really a follower so deep as the Bucs and having been such a huge James Canada fan, I realized when Tony Dungy went to, and we did losing Coach Dungy, whatever, everything for a reason, right? I knew the reason why he brings you to Indianapolis is because he wanted to bring not only the talent, but also bring that what he had going on here. You bring in those pieces that you understand, the ballers, the guys that can bring you, get your thing going there, can instill your atmosphere, if you will. I can't think of the word right now.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's,
it's to create that Dungy culture, and that's really what it was
yes, that was what I was trying to say.
to match the offense that Indianapolis had.
Yes.
One thing that they always lacked, and they always said it, was they didn't have that defensive culture or presence. And like I still remember my first mini camp, Peyton Manning threw a screen pass to Edrin James, and as Edrin was running down the field, he looked up, and I was right on his hip, running next to him. And I was like,
Yes.
and then when I got back to the huddle, I said, "Hey, look, the one thing we gonna do without anybody having to tell us to do it is we're gonna get our behinds to the ball." I said, "There's no way I should be the first one to the ball. I'm not the fastest person out here." I said, "All 11 hands to the ball," and
Yes.
that's kind of just really what it took, and that's what you want when you go in as a coach. You're gonna grab those pieces that can help you instill that into the pieces that you bring into that franchise.
What did Edge do when he looked over and he saw James Cannon on his hip pocket?
No, he just kind of looked like, hey.
What?
Later on, he's like, "Hey, big fella, you can move. You move pretty fast. I didn't know
Yeah, you could move pretty
I
fast.
didn't know you could move like that."
Oh, brother. Christopher Cole says, hey, guys, Christopher Cole, thanks for tuning in. Again, everybody, if you've had a laugh, if you're enjoying it, well, James, I'm sure, has made many good points, but if I've made even one point, hit that share button so we can continue to, and I use the term, let that tail wag that dog, which is basically what we're doing, hustling out here. I've been watching your numbers grow, though, James. That's why I was so excited tonight when we had a chance and you were like, hey, hit me with it. I'm going to share it. And I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? Because your numbers are growing. People are seeing that Big Game Sports Buzz, aren't they?
Man, I'm blessed, Ray. I've been interacting with fans, interacting with people, trying to put content out there,
Yes.
and I have a good time, man. And the one thing I've always learned to do is just try to be myself. You know what I mean? And whether some people think it's corny, some think it's crazy, it's just James. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
I've been blessed that more and more people have been coming on. Like Chris Cole has come on and checked out Big Game Sports Buzz, a couple different episodes, commented and interacted. People leaving comments. But at the end of the day, I just want to bring a good sports perspective from a professional athlete
Yes.
to the fan because I'm still a person that believes, although I get on fans sometimes when I think it's something silly that they say, but at the same time, I know the fans are the heartbeat of what
Yes.
makes the player and the team go. And I always tell everyone I appreciate fans, and I appreciated the fans in Tampa when I was there, Indianapolis,
No, we
Dallas, Fort
appreciate you,
the
brother.
whole nine, man. It's a blast. But yeah, numbers are growing, followers are going up, subscription numbers are going up,
Love
and
it.
like I said, my love of this because I majored in journalism in college, and so for me doing this, I kind of feel
Yes.
like I'm getting something out of those hard those hard rough days that I put
Brother.
in back in school.
The work ethic that got you to the Buccaneers, got you to the NFL, got you to Nevada, it shows. But every time you hit, I guess, and again, if you're not following James Canada or the Big Game Sports Buds, do it. Every time you hit me something, I'm like, huh. Not only is the production quality top notch, the drops are always fantastic. But again, Bucs fans, but I wouldn't have to be a fan of the Buccaneers. But as Bucs fans, I love having you as a friend, brother. But I love that we have these Friday night chats and we can always tap back to the Tony Dungy era. Anything that's happening now or in the future, I'm always going to compare it to that defense. I'm always going to compare it to that team, the
Right.
teams that you played on. But at the end of the day, the drops are so solid. But like I said, everything you're hitting is so good. And that's why I wanted to get that point across again. All you got to do is share and follow, and you can get hit with them all the time. I want to talk with you before we get out of here. And let's know it's time for you to ask me something because maybe you got something rolling around that you wanted to ask me, and I want to let you go again because you got to do your thing. It's a Friday night. I want James Cannida to have a little fun.
No, I'm fine. The one thing I wanted to talk to you about, just in general, we talked about it real quick earlier.
Yes.
The devaluing of the running back position.
Okay. Yes.
And this new style of offense, is that going to be a position of more importance for the Buccaneers
Yes.
than it has been in the previous three with Brady? Although he did like throwing a Fournette out the backfield. We use him catching the ball. But we threw the ball so much. Do you think that the offensive mindset changes and the use of the running back changes as well in this new offensive system?
Great question, brother. And let me go ahead and add on to it. Because as much as every defense is now starting to go, we're hitting 72 defensive backs and we're running quarters, three-quarters, and $50 bill defenses, aren't teams going to behoove themselves not to go back to a strong running game and have a prized running back and a guy you can trust, to an Edgerrin James, as you say? You imagine a team today with an Edgerrin James and these pass-happy defenses. You got a team like a Henry out of Tennessee that are just going to run the ball down your throat. And, man, you can't tell these running backs, these cats, these dogs, James, what they do in the beat and they take, that their value, their position is undervalued. We expect you to take this. So there has to be a reckoning somewhere from up and down, no?
Yeah, it does. And I feel like it's one of those things. It's old school, but I look at what guys like Mike Allstott and Warwick Dunn did for our offense and to alleviate things. And I feel like, you're going to have those couple of running backs like, why am I drawing a blank right now? I just talked about him on someone else's show last week. The running back, Bijan Robinson out of Texas.
Yeah. Oh, yes. There's a dog you can there's a horse you can put a saddle on, and you can ride him all the way west where the gold is out.
Right.
Yes.
And he's going to get drafted early. He'll be a first-round guy, but then there's someone else out there that someone's going to miss on, and I'm just like, it drives me crazy because it drives me crazy, but at the same time, this is when I want my scouting department to earn its money. Because it's their job to have that diamond in the rough, that third to fifth round guy that someone's going to sleep on, that's going to be able to come in, add value special teams wise, and eventually work his way into a rotation as a third running back. So, I'm eager to see what it's going to look like.
There are teams, because we see them, teams are constructed differently, right? Strong defense, a good offensive line, specialty players, a bunch of receivers. But there is going to be a team that takes a Robinson, that's going to take that big running back, because if that running back position, you talk about a Saquon Barkley, you talk about an Ezekiel Elliott, the second contract made no money. The first contract, of course, did. What does it mean if you can get a beast in the first round and get a running back on that first round contract? You got to go with quarterback, but if you're a team that can develop quarterbacks, you can afford to get a running back too, and you don't have to pay those big bucks, and you can find a horse, because, James, they too take a beating, so you do have to find a rookie to come in here and put in this stable here in Tampa Bay, don't you?
Yeah, I believe so, and it's just one of those things where you have to be smart with it. Right now, for me, honestly, in the first round, I want to see offensive line or secondary, and then maybe defensive interior. It's kind of what I think about when I see that. If we can see those, I think that helps us get an immediate build. At bolster positions that are going to help us win long term. A lot of people are going to still say, "We still need a quarterback." Yeah, we got Baker. I don't see us needing to move up to try to get an Anthony Richardson.
Oh, we just need arms. We need arms. Yeah. I mean, we need camp arms because we got a new offense, right?
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to be that team. We did that with Tom, door number 2, greatest of all time. It was epic, but Carolina's got to go after their big guy, and I'm not. I was hoping for a minute there. You and I talked about this tongue in cheek. What it would have been if Jameis would have came back to Tampa. He's such a polarizing figure here in Tampa Bay. But I'm on the group that loved this kid, and I know the talent he's got. And believe it or not, he was right in 2019 when he said check the sheet, because he was throwing interceptions. Peyton Manning Carson Palmer, they said you'll never
Yeah.
throw as many interceptions as you do in the first year in this biscuit offense. But Jameis still threw for 5,000 yards and over 30 touchdowns. This kid, I'm telling you what, I'd like to see him really ball. I'd like to see. Wouldn't it be funny? It would be great if somehow he wins over or comes in for Derek Carr. Maybe Derek Carr, we'll say he pulls a fingernail and he has to take a few games off, and Jameis comes in and just balls.
I hope he does. I still think Jameis gets treated unfairly sometimes.
Yes.
I mean, you look at it, 5 years, 4 different coordinators, how many different head
Yes.
coaches, had a hard time learning, and I don't think he matured right away. And
Right.
it's the God honest truth, man. To be young and be doing what you love to do, but still have other
Yes.
things at your disposal, it makes it hard on you. And let's look at it the way it really is, Ray. None of us are perfect, man.
Yes.
It is, that glass house. I'm glad I don't live in one because my windows would have been shattered a long time ago.
Let me,
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
no, I'm going to go say this. I'm going to go on a limb and say Misador, he's a Kyle Trask guy, and that's a tongue-in-cheek joke. Let me get back to some of these comments. Misador says CJ Stroud, but honestly, the Panthers should play the long game and try to capitalize on someone trying to move up. I think Me's going where I said. I mean,
That's
someone
smart,
gets
too,
desperate draft day, right?
yeah, that's very true. I think you listen. I don't think you close the door on any
No, you got
any
you answer that
talk.
phone.
You listen to everyone. And if it don't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. But if it does make dollars, you move back and build up as well.
Love it. Joshua Garrison with a great comment here. What's up, fellas? If Baker is on, it'll be interesting. Great comment because he's true. Because Baker, Lincoln Riley, Oklahoma, Heisman Trophy. The kid was a student. He played well. I mean, Kyler Murray backed him up for 2 years. Jalen Hurts, another product of that system. But Baker, if he's playing, it's interesting, but he's counting on Trask as probably the guy, right? I mean, that's a pretty great comment. It's good to have a great competition, James. Take some of the pressure off Canales trying to establish a new offense, right?
Yeah, you need to have it there. And like I said, you don't want anyone to be complacent going into camp thinking the job is just theirs and they don't have to look over their shoulders. And I think this gets the best out of Trask, and I think it gets the best out of Baker because he wants to show there's a reason why he was that first round draft pick that he was. And Kyle Trask wants to show that, look, I didn't play because Brady was here, but that's the best to do it. It's my turn now. I love it, man. You have to have that competition.
Story is go back to high school with Philippi Franks at Florida. Go back to Eric King at Manville High. Kyle Trask, if there's one thing that kid's done with 9 passes officially attempted in the NFL is he's always been ready going back to Little League as the next guy up. Right. I think it's his time to be the guy up, but Baker being here makes it a good competition.
Yep.
Misador says, not a chance. I told you he's a Kyle Trask guy, James. Misador loves that. You know me. Mi's a great guy. I want to get him in on a show with the three of us. I was going to say, it's after 10 p.m. I want us to do a 3-way, but I won't go any further than that. Joshua Garrison says, Baker is just a guy with experience that can take the reins if Trask doesn't pan out. Again, good comment. Baker said, Misador says, you bring Baker in because, like it or not, it moves a needle. Baker's ceiling is so much higher than Trask. Granted, his floor is much lower as well. There's some knowledge in that comment, isn't there, James?
It very much is because you look at it like the floor is there. How much more he has that one, the opportunity to move up, but will he move up? And that's a great point, man.
Misador always dropping the knowledge. Roundtable crew, I love it. Misador says also Bucs can't afford Elliott's diet. Oh, that's not fair. He doesn't. He wears the half shirts, and he had a little bit of a. But I mean, he can still bring it. I'd still pay to see that kid run. Oh, you said true. You guys were commenting here before. Misador says, I still need a strong safety.
Right, and that's what I was talking about. Branch from Alabama.
Yes.
Someone's going to be out there. The secondary, I believe, gets addressed within the first 3 rounds, though. I really do. I think that gets addressed in the first 3 rounds, right? Somewhere along the way, whether it be corner to still add depth to Davis and Dean, and then a safety. Yeah, I think that's going to happen.
You spend the number 1 pick a few years back out of LSU on Devin White and a linebacker, and you've got Levante David and the Bucs. I'll say I've seen today Quan Alexander. Think about that cat a few years back. They put Jason Light addressed this defensive line and didn't waste these picks on Sack Avenue and Joe Tryon Shoyanka bringing in the strong. And, of course, man, I'm glad you said that about Shaq Barrett. Really got to see that kid get back. Haven't really heard anything about how the rehab's going. Could just be a veteran move. He's just doing his thing, and Bucs are keeping those cards close to the vest.
I kind of like it being quiet. I think
Yeah.
to me that means that he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's doing his rehab. He's working to get
Yes.
better. And I think it'll be interesting to see what it looks like when he gets to when training camp opens up.
He's gonna be hungry, and I'll tell you what, guy doesn't make the team in Denver, doesn't come here as a free agent, doesn't get the contract if he's not a complete and utter dog.
Right,
and
right.
if he still has that speed off the left side and improving in a third-year Joe Tryon-Shayanka from the right, look out, world. But man, this NFC South. Let me get to this comment. Joshua Garrison also says there's a lot of defensive talent in this draft. I think Light and Bowles are going to do well, even if we go to running back at 19. I think he's alluding to Robinson out of Texas a little there, James. Maybe.
Hey, now I would say this: if Robinson is there at 19,
first contract.
I don't think anyone's mad at that pick. I mean, you pivot when the right pieces in front of you.
Yes.
I don't think you're mad at that pick. And right,
not at all.
We can still build and when I did my mock draft, I think I did like half defense, half offense. It was crazy. I did mostly defense.
Yes, you did, and it was a good mock.
And so
that's what the Bucs have to do. You got the two. I think you still have the best receiving core, the two receiver in Chris Godwin and Mike Evans.
Oh, yeah.
And Russell Gage. I think you still got the best starting three. Definitely in the division, even with Drake London, even with what's going. I think you have that. Now you mix it with that defense, man. The sky's not falling, brah. Not you, brah, but the world. Misador says Robinson can be had in the second.
Robinson's not going to be there in the second.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think Me's taken into account, like you said, the devaluation of the running back position. But man, when you got a dog like that on the board, you get to a specific point. That's one of those picks where a 5. You know what you tell him? You get him in 19, or you get him anywhere else down, and you say, hey, guess what? You got that game. There were 18 other teams ahead of us that said that he's not our guy. We think you're our guy. You put that into account, let me tell you.
Right.
Christopher Cole says, don't make a scene. It's just Dean. Alan McTavish says, Ray's been working out. I don't know. It was a hard night at UPS. I'll go into that. I'm running out of time. Again, thank you, James Cannida from the Big Game Sports Buzz. Former Buccaneer, former Cole, my friend. Misador says, suck up is consistently missing beyond 40. I mean, that's the thing that kind of – that's why it made it easy for the Bucs to go, okay, let's try to find a kicker for tomorrow, I think.
Yeah. Exactly.
Joshua Garrison also says, let's not kid ourselves. Camarda can kick. Let me tell you something. Camarda was my.
I love that man.
Love that cat.
I mean, the play against Carolina when he had the smarts to get that ball, pick it up, run.
Baller. Yes.
Yes. And I believe it was with his left. It wasn't even his normal kicking foot.
Going out of bounds, like no.
Out of bounds, like man, that dude there's. Hey, that's. I give him the Martin Grammatica treatment. Man.
I love it. Yeah, he's a dog. And Harry Berg says Ray's in the Edge District down here at Ferg's. I want to thank again the staff out here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill down here on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge District of St. Petersburg. Sponsor here for a cup of Ray here in the Sports Web. Misador says, James Cannida, are you saying you take 2 steps forward, Ray takes 2 steps back? Would that be trolling a little? Maybe me trolling a little.
Sounds like it, right?
It's not trolling. Josh got some great commenters here, and I'm gonna get you out. Joshua says, "My boy Nacho earned that money. Hope he kills it." 100%. That guy earned what he's got, and the Giants got them a baller in Nacho's Roches.
Yep. And they go Kayvon Thibodeau up there. That's not man.
That's the thing. Now you got Thibodeau, you got the speed, and that's exactly what they're doing. And that's what they were looking for. And my point I was going to say a few minutes ago, is that the NFC South was the NFC least in 2022. I know it was so hard to look at, but the moves that are being made, am I buying in too much, James, or am I seeing all three of these teams making moves that 2 or 3 years from now, this division can turn it around just like the NFC East did?
They will, but think about that, right? Look at the NFC East 2 years ago. They were called the NFC least.
Yes.
And they are able to transition to get the teams going for playing well and looking a little bit better, opposed for the Commanders, right? And the same thing's going on in the South. The way free agency works in the NFL and the salary cap, there's about a 4 or 5 year window where you traditionally have a team fall off. I mean, it just happens,
Yes.
and it just happened to be a couple teams in our division all at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it makes it
I mean,
rough.
bottom fell out. Well, Drew Brees, 19 years, Saints, Tom Brady, Bucs, Carolina. The coaching different. Matt Rule, what was that guy doing? Dave England says they just didn't have the money to keep Nacho and fill out the roster. He's going to be missed for sure,
Yeah.
100%. Joshua says you do a killer job, James, and you know your stuff. Would love to get you on a show with Blake Anthony. 100%. Yeah, well, Blake Anthony locking it down. My boy Blake used to do our Buccaneer game day watch parties. Played at North Carolina, come from North Carolina, big Tar Heel guy, but my guy Blake can break down film is what he can do, and that's why I love. We have to get you guys hooked up if we haven't already one time, James. He's a pretty
That,
good cat.
sounds like a good plan, man.
Yes, sir. Big game. Let's see here. Big game, James Sports. Big game Sports Buzz says thanks, Josh. 100%. Thank you again, James. Thanks for coming in tonight. You know what? I'm gonna get the rest of these comments, but I wanted to ask you real quick before I get you out of here. And again, brother, thanks for coming in tonight.
Not a problem at all.
Time of the year that the NFL's starting to look at some. They're looking at we talk rule changes, and there's none really big out there. I see that the Eagles are proposing instead of going for an onside kick, that 4th and 20, you get one shot. Are you a fan of that? That you've seen that?
Are they going? So they're trying to go to the XFL rules, huh?
Well, and here's the thing. The irony is, and the thing is, it kind of works, right? We saw it actually have a big outcome in that game, probably the highest rated game so far this season for USFL. But trying to get away from these kicks and these balls. I love the suspense of the onside kick, but give an offense, for the Buccaneers and Mike Evans and Russell Gage and Chris Godwin a chance to go for it on 4th and 20. I mean, I would take that over the chances for an onside kick any day of the week.
I honestly like it, and Jay Stoggs and I talked about that on one episode of Big Game Sports Buzz.
Yes.
What we thought about some of the rule changes, what we did or didn't like about the XFL.
Yes.
Them only being 5 yards apart, not being able to leave until the ball is actually kicked.
You like that, right?
That's good for the safety of all the high impact collisions.
I like it.
God knows I took some on special teams, and I think that's what's wrong with me now. And then all honesty as well, being able to go for it, opposed to that onside kick, again, it takes away the crazy contact.
Yes.
And if your defense gives up a 4th and 25, the other team deserves to get the ball back.
Funny you say that about the receiving. There's a team, I'm not sure which one, proposing that anywhere inside the 20, anywhere, even at the 1 yard line, a fair catch on a kickoff comes out to the 25. So it's the same as if it goes, you just let it go in the end zone. So basically, you're doing away with all kickoffs entirely, and 100%. We got rid of the wedge. I had some slobber knockers playing special teams, running down the field. I was the kicker. I was the punter. I was the fattest, biggest kid on my team in Pee Wee, but I could boot the ball. I had a great leg. Shout out Todd Wright from ESPN. Used to do ESPN overnight. Him and I were the kickers on our Warhawks team. But I was a kicker. I punt it, and man, I didn't have my head on a swivel, James. I'm running downhill. I got hit so hard. I still think I'm in that dream. Dang. You know what? For a minute ago, I heard that. I thought that was your ringtone, and I'm like, I like it. Couple of other. I know you do that. So let's see. Real quick. Brandon Cooks from the Texans to the Cowboys. I know Stoggs likes that one. Is he that missing piece now going to get there with CeeDee Lamb and give these Cowboys a chance to take the top off? Is Dak going to be able to do that this year?
I think that's a good piece. That's a piece they needed. I hate to admit it and say it. To me, the Cowboys did what they always do. They overpaid Michael Gallup a year too early, and he didn't perform and deliver.
Yes.
I think Brandon Cooks gives them something that can stretch the field and move things around to help alleviate some of the pressure from CeeDee Lamb.
I get it. It's the star. It's America's team. Jerry Jones, Tex Stram, Tom Landry. It's always been, Danny White, the only quarterback who could ball out playing quarterback, and then he would stay in and punt the ball a country mile that I knew. I'm sure other players did it. But, yeah, it seems like Dallas does that over time and time. They always seem to overpay early. It's like we're going to take care of you because you're our dog. But it's like, let some players get a little hungry. I mean, in certain positions, still pay these cats because they earn every penny, but let them get a little hungry.
And that killed them. That you let Amari Cooper go for a 6th-round draft pick, and then you didn't get the production back. And they're high on the kid they got out of South Alabama last year in the 3rd round, but he hurt a lot this year, so he didn't play. So it's going to be interesting to see what he turns into to go along with Cooks and CeeDee Lamb.
And you got to find a replacement for Schultz. You need that tight end, I think. Or is this offense looking to go less using the tight end? We don't have our tight end, so now we'll just go, vertical game and also Pollard running it. I mean, it's going to be interesting. And the NFC East, couple of more rule changes. Lions proposed a separate challenge just for personal fouls, and they also propose. Here's the one that got me. They're proposing that the NFL officials are able to huddle to discuss penalties. Now, here's the thing, James. You played in this league, and you cover it now fantastically. We've seen it. You and I grew up. We're about to say, well, we grew up same ball. They've already been starting to make these huddles. When these officials don't make the call within 5-10 seconds, they're getting someone that's seeing it, right?
Right.
Why not completely go to an offsite, someone that can say, no, it wasn't a personal foul. It was a personal foul at 100%. And be a little, because number one, well, go ahead. What are your thoughts on that? Because they are huddling already. Why not just say, okay, after every call, if it's close, do the huddle, get in your ear, get it right.
Well, Ray, that what you said makes sense, but part of me is still thinking and believing that
Yes.
if these guys are going to be on the field and make the calls and live and live time in real time,
yes,
we have to let them make the call. If we rely solely on someone up in the booth watching on the screen, are they then going to start doing away with some of the people on the field and just let it rely solely on people watching a screen to make the call?
Yes.
I'm torn on it because at the end of the day, I want the game to keep going. As a player, we hate having to wait a long time for you to make a decision on a call. Is it a foul?
Great
Is
point.
it a foul? Can we keep playing? Can we keep going? If you got an offense that's going tempo and all of a sudden you got to slow the game down to make your call,
Yes.
it kills them. Now it gives me a break on defense, but it's killing my momentum that I'm building on offense, and I don't want you to be able to kill my momentum like that. There's got to be some changes done to the game, the way the calls are made, because there's a lot of calls being missed. So yes, something has to be done. I don't know. No one's going to be 100% satisfied with the changes that are made.
Well, here's the thing. Maybe we have like an egregious rule, because there's no way you missed that pass interference in New Orleans in the championship game with the Rams, right? There's no way that should be allowed to happen. So that was one where you should have. I mean, come on. As fans of football, weren't we all watching that game? Like, can you stop the clock? Can you get? And not that I wanted to see the Saints win that game, but they got robbed on that. They got hosed.
Yeah, that was a horrible play.
That was a bad play.
Penalty right there. Because even the defender grabbed his head like, "Damn, I can't believe I did that."
I know. He's like, "Oh man."
Whoa. Okay. Yeah, that was bad. You're right on that one, right?
But at the same time, I was going to accuse you of being a purist, but I think you're right. I am not a big gambling guy. Although this segment of Cup of Ray is sponsored by, insert your name here. Do it, guys and girls. But I don't need the game to stop every 30 seconds to try to make sure we got the right call, because it's a largely wagered game, or it's going to it's going to make it a bad beat. I just want the game to move along. I want the calls to be right, but there's got to be that line that's drawn. And I tend to agree with you. Let's keep the game moving, but also at the same time, we'll get it right.
Yeah. There's going to be a happy medium. And I believe every team that's been affected by something has to put that out there as a rule change. Because in some way, shape, or form, there was a call or something made or done that hurt them at the time. So, let them make that call. Let them see if something can be done to make the game more fair for everyone. And let's keep things moving.
Two more quick ones, James. Again, James Cannida, sports, big game, sports buzz. The roughing the passer. I'm asking a former defensive lineman. I'm asking a former Buccaneer of the Tony Dungy defense. Making roughing the passer plays reviewable. Could go both ways, but we see like an Aaron Donald. We see players that they'll get on top, but they'll hold themselves. They don't pounce. They're trying to play with respect, but it could go the other way. Would you be in favor of at least making those, if it's in a rough? Because these days it's like 15 yards. That can be a big change, especially if there was really no
game. Yeah.
Yes, on a drive.
I'm all the way in favor of that, because I'm not gonna lie. You go back and look at the Grady Jarrett, Tom Brady hit. That wasn't a roughing the passer.
Boom.
And I said that point blank period to everyone. I was like, look, even my Atlanta fans, like, man, that wasn't a penalty. I said, you're right. And it's like,
yes.
Right? Like, yeah, it wasn't should have. And then also,
I forgot that one for a minute.
Chris Jones against I think it was a Sunday night game against the Las Vegas Raiders. They called a roughing the passing on him, and he clearly hit Derek Carr as clean as you could hit a quarterback without hurting him. And they called a
Yes.
roughing the passing on him that was one of the
Yes.
worst calls. And I was like, the NFL's trying to make me be done with them. I'm like, as a defensive
Oh,
lineman, as hard as we
yes.
work, as much as we get
Oh, go
held,
ahead. Keep preaching, brother. Keep preaching.
the glory of getting to the quarterback and getting him
Yes.
down on the ground. It's like, what? Just give him some flags, then and let me pull a flag. If I cannot tackle him
Okay, easy now.
down to the ground,
Don't preach too much. So this one, because to me, it goes to intent. It goes to intent. These guys, they're union brothers. I'm a teamster with you. We worked it as a team tonight. We do it. I love the team, and they're union brothers. They're brothers out there on that field. You saw it with with Hamlin,
right?
Damar Hamlin. Shout out just to that. It's been a minute, but they're brothers. I want to make sure it goes to intent. Like Bonte's perfect. Well, he was a dog, but he was a lot of intent. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, and this is why this last one I'll talk with you about. No, go ahead. Am I right though, James? It goes to intent.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. As a defender, my intent is to kill the
It's a
person. on
kill.
offense.
I love you.
No,
I love you.
no.
You're right. No.
My intent is not to kill anyone. But your intent is purposeful, like get the quarterback or the running back down on the ground. Now, am I
Yes.
doing it trying to end a career? No, I'm not. But at the same time,
Yes.
you you're looking at the different injuries that's happening on running backs and receivers in the game, but they're reducing the hit window also. So it's like where you left to hit these guys without it being a penalty, or still
Yes.
involving a head in a tackle that
Oh.
you want to keep out of it to make
Yes.
sure the head safety is done right and correct. It's tough, man, but
There's a
yeah, maybe
fine
I need to.
line
There's a
again.
fine line for anyone. Yeah, if you're Vontez Burfict, you're targeting, you're putting your head down, you're spearing defenseless receivers in the side, trying to knock them out. There's no place for that in the game. There's no place for dirty tackling and dirty play. There's no place for dirty blindside blocks from the offensive side either. It goes both ways, and different
Great
people have
point.
different intent. But football is a physical, violent game, and I know I'm coming from an older school of thought now because of my age and when I played. But
Yes.
things are going to happen. The game is fast. The game is violent. You have to be ready to protect yourself at all times.
Yes.
And there's going to be some vicious hits. But I think that
Oh yes.
that can still happen within the framework of the game without it being dirty and intentional.
And thank you for saying again, mentioning wrapping it back around to intent. One of the other rules is to change the rule to it's not just launching from 2 feet, possibly considering even launching from 1 foot. So it goes to intent. But at the end of the day, these defensive guys also have to put bread on the table. You don't want to see a launching. Then when they both feet you launch, it can kind of be like a projectile. You're still using that. You're still saying the helmet, the crown. If you go in head first, you
Right.
hit them high. But launching 1 foot, it seems like it's trying to walk that fine line. Maybe we leave it at 2 and keep it intent.
I think you leave it where it is and leave it at intent because at the end of the day, you still have to be able to break down and run through, or all defenders are going to just end up getting run over. And who wants to watch an NFL game where guys on defense are just getting trucked the whole time and the offensive players
Yes.
run free and forever? Can't do it.
And I'll finish with this one because it goes back to just this year's AFC playoffs and Patrick Mahomes, the injury. One of the things that got brushed right off the table, not even being considered, that didn't even make the final vote with the owners, is the hip check tackle, right? Not grabbing by the back, not the horse collar, but you saw it with Mahomes, the guy, the defensive lineman or a linebacker or an outsized player tackling a big quarterback where they bring it around and they happen to use leverage and they get their hip into it. Of course, in Mahomes, the issue, it kind of rolled up on his ankle, but should that be still a legal tackle? It didn't even make the final table. They think they should be.
That has to be legal because even with
Yes.
me running full speed, laying out the way you might need to do to make that tackle, if you're running and your leg stride is behind you and I'm coming
Yes.
to the side to get you down, the chances of me landing on your leg are high, and I may fall over on your ankle because I'm taught to wrap up and squeeze to help reduce the running surface.
Brother.
I have to subtract the running surface from you so you cannot move your legs anymore, and it's going to
Yes.
cause your legs to squeeze and come up underneath me.
Yes.
You're not going to take everything totally out of the game.
And it's funny when you said that, I can actually remember a play where I remember you made a tackle and you were vertical to the ground and you were flying and you actually grabbed and you didn't get by. But that was how you and Warren Sapp played that middle. That's how you guys did that. That you did. You even when you thought you were. Just ask Jerry Rice and Steve Young in '95, or not '95, but later on. And I'll finish with this one as we work it out. No, I think that was all the rules. But I want to again thank you for joining me here on a Friday night. I love this chat, brother. Big Game Sports Buzz, James Cannida. Thanks for joining me. I'm gonna go full screen so you can share a little bit more. Again, people, all it takes is a follow and a like, but follow and get some of this great content. James, go ahead, brother.
Man, you can catch me Big Game Sports Buzz and Big Game Entertainment on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. Instagram is BG_sports_buzz. And on Twitter, the handle's right there at BG Sports Buzz and at JCan97. Uh, my Buccaneers show is Pewter Perspective.
Yes.
If not, you can catch me weeknights on the Chop Shop with Jay Stoggs and the musicologist A. Reed, or on Big Game Sports Buzz, and that's Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. Central Time.
And again, tell them about the chop shop. Just chopping it up. I got my haircut today. I'm wearing a hat. I got them all cut, but man, I don't have the hair I used to have.
All right, this week Jay Stoggs and A. Reed did a damn good job on the chop shop. I had a track meet that I had to go to.
Yes, coach.
They talked about March Madness. They talked about, is it necessary for sports to have villains? And they had a spillage of Jay Stoggs and I's top 5. We did the top 5 rap duos, and if you are into lists like that,
I saw it.
You need to go check out Big Game Sports Buzz and listen to Jay Stoggs and I go back and forth about the difference between a duo, and he tried to sneak some trios in there.
What was his problem when you said Salt and Pepper weren't in your top 5?
Yeah, well, okay, this is the thing, right?
Go ahead, expound it.
So we do a top 5, and Jay Stoggs has his list. I have my list, and we talk about top 5. And then he was like, "Well, what about the DJ? Does the DJ really count?" I'm like, "If the DJ is a person that's known, then it goes from 2 to 3. That's not a duo. That's a trio." But then you get in the conversation. He's like, "Well, Salt and Pepper have to be in the top 5," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, they weren't even in your top 5 that we just read off." And he was like, "What?" I was like, "Salt and Pepper are not top 5 rap duo all time.
They're good. They're great. They're great.
Great women rappers. Great female artists.
Beautiful. Yes, and solid.
Maybe top 10 because yes, they create a lot of party
Oh
jams.
yeah,
but
they were here.
Duo all time. No way. And we had a big debate, and he and A. Reed continued that on the Chop Shop.
That was great. That was awesome.
Night. And it was funny, man. It's one that I'll tell you, if like I said, if you like lists, or when you look at the email, social media and see the hashtags about the different things that go on like that, it's definitely one worth checking out. And you get a good laugh. And we always love seeing people's lists. Let us see your top 5 list, man.
Let me tell you something. DJ Hurricane, if you don't even know, I come up with Run DMC, I come up with LL Cool J. The DJ, I mean, very, very important. But when I saw the Salt and Pepper take and I saw Jay Stoggs, I saw the reaction to you, or the reaction on your take on that, I lost it, brother.
Well, Ray, let me ask you this. So, we'll go a little bit old school hip hop, and this. So we had the discussion continued, and then someone said, well, Eric B. and Rakim has to be on there. Yes, Eric B. and Rakim was a group, but at the same time, Eric B. was the DJ, Rakim was the MC.
Yes.
Was it really a group, or was it just a collaboration of,
wow.
The top 5 can take you. That's why when people do lists, we tell them top 10 is easy, even the top 20. But when you got to narrow it down to 5 people,
That's what you get with the Chop Shop. I love that. I love the Big Game Sports Buzz and James Cannida. I hope we continue doing this. I love our Friday night chats. We covered a lot of Bucs stuff here tonight. And here's the crazy thing. The draft, we're on pro days right now. There is no more off season. And if you're following James Cannida, Big Game Sports Buzz, you already know that, brother. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ray, man. Have a good night.
Thank the missus again, and have a great weekend, Coach.
I will do. Thank you.
Awesome. Big James Cannida. Yeah, I kid you not. I think people are I think I told the story, but I'm out here and this guy's, I love coming out here at spring break down here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill down here on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge District of St. Petersburg. There's a kid sitting here. I told James, he's a kid. He's younger than us, and you never know. I mean, at spring break, I got a lot of out of towners. still recognizing that what are you doing? We're talking sports, talking Bucs, Lightning. By the way, Lightning, big game tomorrow, 1 o'clock, Boston Bruins. I know they lost 7-2 to the Senators. Open goal. Wasn't Vasilevsky in goal. Tomorrow's game, as we're coming out of the Tom Brady experience, we're talking about getting ready for the Rays opening day next Thursday at home against Detroit. Tomorrow's game against the best team right now currently in the NHL against those Boston Bruins. That'll say a lot. I asked my father-in-law tonight. Huge Lightning fan, doesn't miss a game. He also worked at UPS. I was in one of the trucks getting my ass beat, pardon the French. Not safe for work, it's after 10. And I'm at Pat. I'm like, this was, I'm unloading one of the brown trucks, and I didn't realize the drivers, we load the brown trucks in the morning, drivers take them out and unload them. The job that these drivers do, loading them from the businesses and bringing that stuff back in so we can get it on the outbounds going out to Jacksonville and Kentucky here every night, 6 nights a week, twice on Sunday. Kidding, we're closed. I'm like, you guys, drivers, that's got to be the worst job. Big Lightning fan. I asked him, though, I wanted to say, and, maybe he's not the world's most eternal optimist, but he's my father-in-law, and he's a great guy, probably one of the best guys that I know ever. And I said, do you think maybe the Senators, maybe the Lightning were looking past to the Boston Bruins, 1 o'clock, nationally televised, ABC on Saturday afternoon? And he went, no, they've been getting their butts handed to them a lot recently. But we'll see tomorrow. I think it's a big measuring stick. You got a team that's consistently been in the playoffs, 2-time Stanley Cup champion, try to get 3, getting up there. They can't. Bruce Waugh continues to make these moves. First faux pas tonight. John Cooper, best coach in the NHL in my book. Tomorrow against Boston Bruins, 1 o'clock. The Rays next week. Where else am I going here? I guess I'm just covering everything because I had all these thoughts in my head. Wanted to talk. You know what? Maybe I can. I got it. My boy bought me a tall highlight. Thanks to my guy, my hookup down here at the world famous First Sports Bar and Grill. No, it's not Coach. He's here a lot, but he's not here this late on Friday nights. Oh, back to the spring break story. So he's over here. What are you doing? I was we're talking sports. I said, yeah, I interview tonight. I got a good friend of mine, host of the Big Game Sports Buzz in the Chop Shop, but former Buccaneer, former Colt. And he perked up, right? So I'm selling it. I want to see where this guy – I wasn't selling it because I thought he would know James Cannida. Buried Elite, he ended up knowing James Cannida. He's like, oh, I love James Cannida. But I'm like, I'm doing this sports show, follow Big Game Sports Buzz, and I said James Cannida's name. I love that you get that here in Tampa Bay, and I'm sharing that because if anybody out here currently watching this show tonight or catching this show later, you're watching it, you're sitting on the crapper on Sunday, and you're like, what is this? Somebody DM'd me. Please share the show. Then as a person will have that moment on the crapper. Can I say crapper? I already said the other bad word. And bury the lead. What James Cannida meant here, playing on these Tony Jones defenses and being able to call that cat a good friend, and also the knowledge that drops and the coverage he's giving with the Big Game Sports Buzz and Chop Shop. I love it. It's my favorite. And I'm going to throw shout-outs to my boy Mike Rickard, the Sports Connection Sports Minute or Sports 2 Minutes every day. Mike Rickard, you cover the basketball, the March Madness, the football, the hockey, and then you drop it. You end it with the golf coverage, which is starting to really rev up now this time of year. Tampa St. Pete Sports Connection, from the Pee Wee's preps to the pros. And Mike, I want to talk with you because we got to do some stuff. What did I forget? What am I forgetting about here? So we got the rules changes, pro days, draft coming up. I was gonna go somewhere and then I forget where I'm gonna go. Hold on a second, because that's the thing. Oh, I'm gonna get back to my comments. Let's see if I have anything else on my show, on my list. By the way, if you're still watching, and I see a few of you watching, please comment. Joshua Garrison says, yep. All right, Josh, I got you. Misador, again, thanks for coming in here. I meant what I said to James, that the three of us are going to do that three-way show. Ground and pound offense will still work in today's NFL. Talking back to all these defenses, so many are geared towards stopping these passes, these verticals. Two types of offensive passing game. There's Air Coryell and there's a West Coast offense. It all goes back to those two. It's like that was Adam and Eve. Somebody ate the fruit off the tree. They both did. The snake made them do it. They got thrown out of the Garden of Eden. It goes back to two. But, man, why all these teams are doing this, now you get a ground. Imagine if you had a Mike Allstott in 2023 and what he could do with a Canales, and he builds this offense, the fullback who's a halfback, who's a tailback with hands like a receiver that barrels out of course, Mike would put so many people in the next week. I'm not sure. We'd have a couple of flags, but you know what, Mike? I'd take him, Coach. Big Game Sports Buzz says, yeah, Nacho deserved his payday 100%. Thank you. Big Game also says, Oh, that was twice. Christopher Cole says if Allstott was playing today's game, he would win the Angry Runs Award every week. Christopher, that might be, although hey, we've had some great comments so far, that may be the comment of the night. I love it. Leo Haggerty, a three-way has to be late night. The legend Leo Haggerty. I'm going to go back and, again, we're Lion Quest Bowl. We're in the press box. We're credentialed through the sports web. Peter Blake and I to cover it. It's getting toward the end of the game. And I'm talking to Leo, or I'm talking to him at halftime, and I'm like, Leo, it's going to go on. It's my first time being credentialed for this big Reliant Quest Bowl. And he goes, what's going to happen is 5 minutes left. Media is allowed to go onto the field. You're going to go down here below the south end zone, below this, in the south end zone here at Raymond James Stadium, and the team's going to come at you, and they're going to win it. Now, Mississippi State was going that direction fourth quarter. I did the math at halftime. Playing Illinois, I'm like, okay, that means they're going to be coming this way. Okay, Leo, appreciate it. Looking forward to getting down there. Peter's up there, writing his story and everything. I'm like, we're getting the cameras all set up. 5 minutes left. We go down with all the media to get out on the field. Great to see you that way. By the way, Jay Retcher. Great to see you, Rock Riley. Love you guys. Love what you do. Walk out on the field, just like Leo said. 5 minutes left. We walk out on the field. They come down the field. They win it in a field goal going that way. Then they have an interception return for a tutty. And I'm like, Leo Haggerty, how'd you know it? He's a legend. That's how he knows. Leo, good to see you in here, brother. Thanks for coming in. Big Game Sports Buzz says, LOL, Leo. Yeah, I did say three-way. I do want to do that. Nick, Leo, if it's you, it's a four-way, brother. In fact, you three can go at it, and I'll just watch. I'll stay in the lobby. Misador said, I love that call. LOL. Harry Berg says, let's go old school women rappers. The very first women rappers were a group called Sequence. Brother, we've listened to that. They were from Philly, and the song Funk You Up debuted in 79 or 80. Now, that's old school. Love it, Harry. Harry the Greek, throwing it. 1252 Sports, throwing it in on a Friday night. Alan McTavish, Red Sox, BS Rays, 105 as well. Brother. Oh, what'd I do? Alan McTavish. Oh, they got wrapped today by the Mets, didn't they? Oh, he says, LOL verse. Today, the Rays got just tortured by the Mets. And Frank the Tank was over there with Aaron Jacobson and Pat Donovan from the Pat and Aaron show. Shout out to my boy Ryan Hoppy, locking it down 5 days a week from 6 to 9 on WDAE. Love you guys. Love the show. Thanks for taking my calls when I call in. Of course, I get in line with like everybody else. Half the time I get timed out, but still appreciate you when I get in there. Got to talk to them this week a little about baseball. They were over there at Tropicana Field today for the Rays-Mets game. They had some short people wrestlers. I can't say it like you do. You got the permission because you're friends with them. And then you had Frank the Tank, big Mex fan down there, Mets, and they were over in Park and Rec afterwards. So shout out to Pat and Aaron and Ryan Hoppy, the best producer, right there with Chris Mathis. Shout out to Chris Mathis, who is locking it down on the T-Krez and Night Train show. And I'm going to wrap it back. I'm not trying to start a feud in the media here. I love you anyway, T-Krez. You've been here, you do it. But when you get that guy in there today and you go, the Bucs finally have a quarterback. And I'm like, I get it. First of all, you know a lot more than I do and you're good at your job. You're locking it down. You got an angle. But I'm here to tell you, going back to 1976, which was by my first year. Oh, the first year I was a Bucs fan. Wait, it was the first year the Bucs were fans up through 2023, which is, my 100th year as a Bucs fan, that as much as we can say Baker Mayfield, as much as we can say 9 passes, as much as we say Kyle Trask is unproven, we've never, ever, none of us have come out of the glow of having the star at the center of the universe, Tom Brady at quarterback, and then what he did for us. So I get it. It's unknown times. But to not even give Kyle Trask a chance to say, oh, Baker Mayfield, we finally have a quarterback, I don't know. I don't like the narrative, but I'm hoping Kyle shows you wrong. I'm hoping that with the actual chance to learn this offense from scratch. But then again, I'm not surprised if Baker, Lincoln Riley, prodigy, the Oklahoma quarterback, former Texas Tech, what he does, the arm he's got, the improviser, he's that guy that improvises out of the pocket. So I wonder, as James Cannida points out, coming from the Seattle, wow, Baker Mayfield, he's not going to come in here and suddenly get a fountain and start running around. He's had some injuries. You got to protect him like you do all your quarterbacks. Maybe that improvisational and using that arm, maybe he comes in. If nothing else, at the end of the day, gives you a great quarterback competition. I'm just not ready to count either one out, and I'm not going to disrespect either one because they're professionals. They're in the building. They're locking it down. They're working their ass off to try to get this offense down. I'm not going to say one or the other. I'm not going to say one or the other, but more so often there, Tom. I'm not going to say there wasn't anything before Baker got here. There was somebody here. There's a lot more with Baker. Great competition, but let's just go ahead and see how that works out. let's not hone ourselves to one dimension and not even look at the fact that the competition itself is going to be great for this team and bury the lead. Kyle Trask has a 50% chance of winning this job. Second round, Florida. Kid is ready. Learn behind Tom. Got a little screwed up because Blaine Gabbert was the guy, just like Ryan Suckup was the guy. You have your veterans in place with Tom Brady, the greatest of all time at quarterback. But that kid was the only reason why he didn't start or dress ahead of Blaine Gabbert is because Tom likes to have his guys, likes to have his boys, likes to have his Garoppolos in the room. I know me, you're sitting at home, or you're probably not watching this because you're so tired from work so hard, but when you do watch this tomorrow, you're like, bleh, I get it. Share the show. Make me look like a fool. You wouldn't do that just for that, but it's very easy. I make it very easy. Stephen L. Campon 6 says, so what we doing with the quarterback? I think I just covered that, bro. That's funny. Maybe I subconsciously seen that comment. Is Baker going to show up? I think he does. What's he got to lose? You talked about Jameis Winston, talked about Baker Mayfield. Funny thing is, he goes to the Cleveland Browns and go back to college. Remember at Oklahoma, he beats the Ohio State there in Ohio, and he plants the Oklahoma flag at the 50, and how big of a brouhaha that was. Then he ends up going to Cleveland. Deshaun Watson was behind their door number 2, but buried the lead. Their door number 2 was a lot more expensive than Tampa Bay's, but, whatever. Christopher Cole says, we've had a lot of great quarterbacks. Yeah, I know. It's funny. I was talking. Let me get this right. And I got a beer to sip on, so excuse me. And I'll keep your rapt attention. Share the show while I take a sip. I'll take 2 sips if you share the show right now. I was thinking about Vinny Testaverde, 1987. Bucs drafted him number 1 overall. He won a Heisman. Thinking about the Heisman players or Heisman quarterbacks, and I had a couple of thoughts and angles, but I never even thought of. And me, again, pointed out as astutely as you do. Notice I said astutely. Jameis Winston, Heisman Trophy, freshman year at Florida State, wins the national championship. That was one also. So, yeah, we had a lot of great quarterbacks there, Christopher. Alan McTavish, sorry, meant Red Sox plays race Saturday at 1:05 as well. Yes, tomorrow, right. And that's what my boy Al's doing now. Alan McTavish, my guy, the DJ down here, but also one of the sound guys for the biggest and best concerts. Have a big concert going on in back of Ferg's here at Spring Break Week. Of course, Coach always has something going on down here at the world-famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill. Al's talking about the Rays and Red Sox tomorrow also, and you have the Lightning versus you always have something going. I'm watching these right now. Oh, so Princeton's losing to Creighton 73-65, and that's the NIT, right? I can't hardly see it. Some big upsets. I'm not even into – I've been so busy covering football. I'm not even following. I'm following March Madness a little bit, but didn't even do brackets this year. Steve L. Camp on 6 says, hell yeah. Steve also says, keep going, man. Brother, thank you. Please share the show. I'm tired. Usually I get done with my show, lock things down, get home. My son, Tristan, over in Orlando in state for Future Business Leaders of America competing. He said he locked it down with his speech today. Congratulations, my boy, my pride and joy, one of my 3. And I'm spending the weekend going to see mom, spending my uncle, doing some family stuff. But usually I get off and I lock up and rush home from here. I'm going to actually enjoy the rest of this highlight because the nightlife down here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill is still going live. The band is still on, and my boy Al's back there. So I'll get with him. Those are all the comments. All right, let me get this up here. I know I forgot something that was I was going to talk about. Wait, let me just look at my sheets real quick, you guys. By this point, if you're still watching, you fell asleep, and you're going to wake up and you'll be drooling. You're like, what the hell is this guy doing? I want to talk with James about this. The NFL is proposing a flex plan for Thursday night Amazon football. So weeks 14 through 17 with a 15-day warning or 15-day notification. The NFL is looking to flex plans the best games into the Thursday night, right? It's a national TV. It's Amazon. Bezos is paying billions for that. You want to have your best matchups. There were some pretty rough matchups, Colts. There were some pretty rough matchups in 2022 on Amazon, but we still watch. It's still Thursday night, and it's still ball. Flex plan weeks 14 to 17. And I wanted to ask, in fact, I messaged James about that today. I wanted to know, as a player, the effect of, hey, you guys, you've been looking, because it's family. You're trying to do stuff with your family. And if you're a father, then you've got a family. Or if you're a coach and you're a father or a mother and you got a family. So all these things are playing. You're like, okay, we're playing it on Sunday, November 10th. And then all of a sudden, I'm sure you're happy that by that time of the year you're doing a little better. So now you are nationally, that you're a nationally interesting game. But it's like, what kind of, all that throws into the wrench. It's like you're going from Sunday to Thursday. Vegas likes it because now you're going to have all those hotlines, FanDuel, MGM, Caesars. The Manning boys will do a commercial about be careful betting on Thursday nights. If you have a problem, call this 800 number. It will help you. I kid. I always get on that soapbox. I'm not trying to piss Peyton and Eli off, and I sure don't want to piss off Archie. And then the bonus Jonas, the other brother, I always forget his name. Thursday night, having that flex, getting a better game on a Thursday night, it's going to make things better for everyone, Amazon and us fans. But then again, what if you're one of those fans that you're planning ahead? You got we got the Leatherheads big tailgate party going on over there. You got all these plans. You're flying people in, and all of a sudden now 2 weeks out, you're like, well, we're great. We're playing against a team that's really great. Maybe we're not the ones that are doing great, so no, you're not as anxious to do this. But the other team, so and so, they're undefeated, so they want, and we're okay, but they want to put this game on Thursday night because it's better than the Broncos and the Colts. Okay, a lot of changes have to be made. Seems like at the end of the day, the fans that have to be, they're like, look, there's going to be 68,000 people here anyway, so if it's not you, sell your tickets on the secondary market. We want to get the best thing for, gambling and for Amazon. Oh, brother.
Ray Kennedy.
Thank you so much.
How are you, brother?
Oh, yeah, I saw this. See, how did Jake get these?
These are throwback 1999.
Yes.
When the Final Four was over at the Trop.
Yes.
We have limited of them left.
Yes.
Right now, this is going to be yours.
Oh, brother.
But we have them on sale.
Yes.
Right.
I love it. I saw it. I mean, I love that logo. $5?
But
Yes.
buy one now, $5, and we'll put a beer in it for free.
And I saw Copper Tails, the beer, this month too, which is fantastic. Oh, brother. And I fell in love with that 1999 when the Final Four was here over at Tropicana Field, which,
Best time I ever had.
let me tell you something. Oh, God, the national, yes. Oh, brother. And I fell in love with the palm trees, the sun, and what this meant for, here we are, still at St. Petersburg. Now we got the Grand Prix. We're getting a new stadium for a raise. And, of course, we have the world-famous First Sports Bar and Grill. Brother, thank you so much. Hey, thank you so much. I'm going to use it right now. Again, come down here, $5 tomorrow, and they'll fill it with beer. Not the one I'm filling mine with right now, but I'm getting ready to drink right out of it. So remind me where I was. Maybe I'll go back to the comments. There's 3 new ones. Let me see. Remind me if anyone's interested in where I was going. Steve says, you don't think we're going to trade Big Mike? Steve, you can't trade Mike Evans because of the contract implications. Thing that scares me is Chris Godwin. Completely more of a cap-friendly type of a trade, and Jason Light could work and get some capital, draft capital, or whatever, some needs for this team. How committed is the fact that this Buccaneers defense is still the best in the NFC South, still one of the top 5 in the league, stay healthy in 2023? How much are we willing? I don't want to say, look, as you're developing a new offense in Canales, it's great to have Russell Gage, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans, or Chris Godwin and Mike Evans all over the field. I still pose, just like I've been trying to get rid of poor Chris Godwin since before he even got the franchise tag and a new contract. I'm like, I still can't think of that darn saying. It's an abundance of riches. It's a perversion of riches. But you talk about a team like the Chicago Bears, just got a lot of draft capital as they traded that first overall pick to your Carolina or your NFC South Carolina foe. It's like you got a Chris. I posed it last night talking to people. If you haven't checked out our show last night in the Sports Web, check it out. I was going to do Cup of Ray. I couldn't get on. We had Martine coming in. We didn't get him in, but we started. Peter Blake, my boy, who I just love, took it off the ground. And then they had to land it because my battery ran out. I was down over at the Brass Captain and the Saltwater Hippie there in Madeira Beach. And let me tell you something. Andy and what the staff is doing over there at the Brass Captain and the Saltwater Hippie, there's something about Madeira Way. I go back to Coney Island, the corner, Old Archibald's. I got the worst burn of my life there at Archibald's, senior year of high school. 12-pack of Busch beer. I think I drank like 8 or 9 of them. I'm like, you know what? I'm going out tonight. It's spring break, just like it is right now. I want to get a little base tan. Let me put a little baby. Baby oil. That guy just said my sister told me she's pregnant. I'm gonna be a dad. Oh, okay. So it's not all people from out of town down here on spring break. I'm kidding, locals. I'm kidding. That was funny though. Steve also says he's a legend for us, like Levante. 100%. Levante gets to wear those throwbacks. 54, wearing a creamsicle. And again, I'll throw this to you, Buccaneer fans, or any football fan. The creamsicles, as we get into the new uniforms with Tony Dungy, it was a new day in Tampa Bay. We sieged the day, these new uniforms. And then they went to the alarm clock things, which were like really weird because I remember the overtime Raiders game a few years back and how it was the first time I'd seen them in the sunlight in the afternoon because that game went late. And back then the Bucs didn't, play a whole lot of 4 o'clock games. And I saw the way that those letters, long story short, Hardy Nickerson comes in here as a free agent. Sam Weiss starts it. Rich McKay drafting of Warren Sapp and then Derek Brooks. But then you get Johnny Lynch and Rondé Barber and James Cannida out of Nevada. But you started to build it. But I can tell you, I got to ask James. I want to say I do remember seeing James in the throwbacks at one point. But I think it was too soon. But I would have loved to have seen Canada across the beautiful, beautiful orange that was the Dreamsicles. You're going to see Levante again this year. He's the last player currently on the Buccaneers to actually wear them his rookie season. And I love what Levante told Tampa Bay Times. I think it was Rick Stroud. He's like, it was my first year in the league, rookie out of Nebraska, second-round pick. He's like, I didn't know what to expect. I just thought we were going to do this every year. Didn't keep any of the throwback merchandise. And so I would pose if you're buying a throwback jersey this year, and it's not so much just because he's on a 1 year or that Levante should finish his career as a Buccaneer, so the Bucs will look to extend that and figure out a way to keep that guy in respect unless this is the year for him. Win Super Bowl 57 and then walk off. Wait, 58. Wow, I got to make that change. I would pose if you're looking to get that out, that's some throwback year for this season, go look for that 54 for Levante David and a Bucco Bruce and those creamsicles because he's going to rock it this year. He's the last Buccaneer currently live on his team to have done it, and he's going to look great doing it. And I'm okay. I've accepted the fact that Tom Brady's not going to wear creamsicle. He wore orange every day in practice. Steve also says, a cup of Ray, I love the show. Steven, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. It's just me just chatting, and I appreciate you because your comments are the best part of the show. Baby oil and plastic sheets. Okay, so now I know how far behind my comments are. Yeah, laughing my butt off. Christopher Cole says not going to happen because CG is a great blocker. Christopher, and I get it. Don't hate on me. Don't let me start getting nobody. Pat McAfee, one of my fave. I told you, Pat McAfee show. Pardon my take. Chris Mathis podcast, and then Hoppy Hour with Ryan Hoppy, who is again the guy. Those are the four these are the four pods I can't miss. These are the four can't misses. Okay, yeah, but Pat, so he was talking about some of the Aaron Rodgers, and I forget what it was, but he got a lot of bad run, and people were really hating on him. And he's like, look, he was talking about the leverage between Green Bay and the Jets. And the irony is the Green Bay cannot have that salary come week one. The Jets have already, Woody Wilson or whatever, Woody has already made, the Jets have pretty much slobbered all over the fact that Aaron Rodgers has got to become the next quarterback. The Jets are playing hardball. Jets have got some great wide receiving talent. They got some great rookies. They got a great defense. Robert Saleh is working magic there. I posed with someone the other day that if Aaron Rodgers doesn't come, maybe Zach Wilson, but they're like, no, he's got to go be a Jet for a year. Aaron's ready to step into that boiler room. Nobody has leverage in this, but the Packers are acting like they want. You're not going to – they got to eat that salary. You can't afford to have $60 million salary. The Jets, you shouldn't get higher than the third-round pick. It should go back to the exact same thing the Jets, ironically enough, gave the Packers for the Brett Favre trade back in the day. Now I'm just rambling. Steven says, dude, show is awesome. Brother, first, I'm glad you got your card. No, I'm kidding. I appreciate you, man. I really do appreciate that because that's what it's all about. Pat McAfee, right? Do you follow that, Steve? It's a good pod. Almost as good as this one. I love the thing about this show is I'll get home, I'll walk my dog, my big German Shepherd, Ruth. I'll put the show on and I'll put it in my back pocket. So I'm not watching it, which I think most of mine is visual. I move around a lot, but I'm down here at first, got the crowd walking up. But I'm like, it could be a podcast. I mean, I think we're interesting interviewing Big Game Sports Buzz host James Cannida. I think we're talking about some
Bucs moves and some ball. We're talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. in the 3 years out of high school. James had a great point tonight. I think you would make a pod. What do you think, Steven? Maybe you could sponsor the pod. What's your business? Advertise here. Stephen Elsa says, wish we can call in. You're going to. I have all this thing. I have the soundboard. It's just that I run down here on Friday night, set up. But for you, I'm going to get it. I got a bunch of I got people that want to come in and be part of the show, local celebrities, people big, and they're like, let me call in. I'm like, I got you. Just got to get that soundboard. So I'll get that. I tell you what I'll do, Steven, this week. I'm going to work on being able to set that whole thing up and break it down so I can take that call because I would 100% love it. Thanks for joining me. Happy Friday as we rush into the weekend. Again, I always say, I hope you find it's ironic, not ironic, but it's old to say find your beach. Find your zen, your center place. Have a good weekend. And remember how I end every one of these things as I drink on my beautiful beer. I'm going to have a great time here with my boy, Alan McTavish, DJ Al, sound guy. Everyone needs to know someone cares this weekend. Make sure you're the one that reaches out and lets them know. Do a brother or sister check. Mental health awareness is coming up. It's International Women's Month. It's all good. But let's remember, it doesn't have to be a specific month of May to have the mental health awareness. We all need to check out. So you get that point. Hey, how you doing? You get a message for somebody. You get a checkup. You do it to somebody else. Your endorphins release a little bit. It feels good to do that. But bury the lead. That person may have probably needed that exact checkup, that brother, sister check. And then someday it'll come back to you. Everyone needs to know someone cares. Today, why don't you be the one to let them know? Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for joining me for Cup of Ray. And please hit that share button. And I appreciate you. See you all next time on Cup of Ray.